Okay, you're mute. Got it. Okay, here we go. And we're live with another edition of Keep Calm and Carry. Thank you so much for everybody swinging by and joining me this evening. I'm really excited to have our special guest tonight, and we'll get into that here in just a second. We've got a lot of things to cover, not only with the channel that's going on, but also really, I think, spirited and very important chat that I'm really excited for, because it's going to get into something that I think a lot of us take for granted. And to be honest with you, as a father, we shouldn't take these things for granted. But before we get into that, I wanted to take a few moments to say hello to everybody. Obviously, the chat room's already started up. If you can't tell, I am sweating like a madman right now. I just moved a 8-piece sectional couch out of my basement, so that's kind of had me running just a couple of minutes behind. But right out of the gate, we've got Andrew, Izzy. Love to see the Taco Man himself in the chat room, the Gun Snob. All you guys, thanks so much for joining. I sure do appreciate it. As people come in, just let me know that you're a part of the live chat, and we will say hello. BR549, hee haw. Good to see you, sir. I really do appreciate it. First and foremost, naturally, I wanted to take a second to say thank you to my Patreon members. That's something that I don't necessarily like to boast about too much, because I don't want to make it sound like I'm just out there with my hand out saying, give me money. Everything that I do with people who donate to the channel goes directly to the channel. So this is not a get rich quick scheme or anything like that. I just, ask if anybody wants to support the channel, great. I appreciate it. If not, that's fine too. I'm going to try to keep on producing great content for you guys. So with that being said, I wanted to say thank you to 180-Second Ideas, The Semi-Armed Life, Drew Lovelace, Craig, and The Real Gun Snob. Those are my Patreons. I sure do appreciate it. And all your support is much, much appreciated. Also, if you guys don't know, Fit and Fire is up and running. Fitandfire.com, that is my website. I've got a lot of things going on there. Just last week, I posted a video about a really great deal from Palmetto State Armory, and a lot of people have already jumped on that deal. It's basically a classic Freedom AR-15 for $350. You can put together a complete upper and a complete lower for $350. I've got the link over on my website. You guys can swing by and check that out. I was really, really happy with the response of everybody swinging by my channel and checking that out. And for those of you that ended up buying one of those, either the upper or the lower or both, I sure do appreciate it, because that was an affiliate link, and it provided some support to the channel. So thank you so much for your support there. Now, one of the big things that I'm really excited about is at the end of this month, July 27th, I will have been on YouTube for 1 year. I can't believe it's been a year already, and I am super excited about that year anniversary. With that being said, I am going to say thank you to everyone who has supported my channel in the past year. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to do a giveaway, and I'm going to pick 3 people. These 3 people are going to win 3 different prizes, and I hope you guys really, really enjoy those prizes. More information will be coming here in the next week or so. I've got one item on the way. I'm trying to grab something as I just dropped a Boulder Group on the ground. But one of the things that I'm going to give away is the June Tac Pack. I haven't had a chance to do the video on it yet, but if you guys don't already know, the June Tac Pack was all about AR builds, and they sent this right here. This handguard is a really, really nice M-LOK handguard. It's very slim. It's a low profile handguard, so it's not going to be big and bulky. And, I've got a lot of parts and pieces. I've built a lot of ARs, and this handguard is actually going to be one that I'm going to give away on the channel. So that's going to be prize number 2. Prize number 1, I'm trying to solidify it, but it's going to be big. I'm pretty happy with the support that I've got, but I don't want to announce it quite yet until I have it in my hands to make sure everything works out correctly. I'm almost 100% certain that it is, but so my plan is third place is going to win a swag pack, which is just going to be a conglomerate of a whole bunch of things: patches, stickers, just random stuff that I've accumulated. It's all going to be firearm related stuff, but it's just going to be a whole bunch of stuff that I can fit into a box and send off to somebody. Like I said, I think I've got an angle grip that I'm going to give away. I've got some patches, some stickers. Shoot, I think I've got some patches, some stickers. Shoot, I think I've got some hats that I'm going to give away. Just something to say, hey, it's free stuff. I hope you enjoy it. And if you don't, give it to your friends. The second place person that I'm going to pick out is going to win that handguard that I just showed and a bolt carrier group from Palmetto State Armory. It's going to be their nickel boron bolt carrier group. I've used that before. I had one in my 3-gun setup that unfortunately I had to sell because I needed some money to buy some other things, but it's been great. It was a great bolt carrier group. I absolutely love it. And then the first place is something that's going to be big. I don't want to announce it yet because I don't have it in hand, and I would hate for that to fall through, but I will make sure that it's going to be epic with that being said. So more to come on that. I should have a video here. I would say, what is today? The 16th. So probably would have a video here by the end of this week announcing everything. And then I will draw the winner, hopefully, if everything lines up, on the 27th as the 1-year anniversary. More to come. I'll keep you guys abreast as those things start to mature and come together. So there we go. Let's head back over to the chat room just real quick because I see that Steven has swung by and he asks a real quick question. Any plans to shift to Instagram as YouTube gets more restrictive? At the moment, no, I'm not. I don't have any plans. I'm going to continue to keep my nose to the grindstone when it comes to YouTube, because I think this is a really good place to be influential. I may have to adjust some of the things that I do in YouTube, but for the most part, I'm going to plan on sticking here. So with that being said, that's a sentiment that a lot of people, a lot of other creators on YouTube has said before. This is a place that it's the second largest search engine in the world behind Google. And this is a place where hopefully we can bring in more people who may be on the fence about gun control or buying a gun or understanding gun rights or understanding our God-given right to protect ourselves and the Second Amendment. So excuse me while I take a drink. I've got some LaCroix here to wet my whistle. I've been talking all day with the number of meetings I've been in at work, and my throat gets a little scratchy from time to time. So let's get into this live chat. I am super excited to have my guest here, and I'm going to butcher his first name, and I'm going to apologize profusely because I've got some speech impediments, and I'm just really bad. I believe, if I'm correct, his first name is Yehunda, and he is known as the PEWPEWJEW on Instagram. And one of the main reasons I wanted to have him on the channel today was because he is an author of some really great books. And I'm not going to dive into that. I'm just going to let him explain it to you guys for himself. So without further ado, the PEWPEWJEW, sir, could you introduce yourself and tell us all about the books that you have authored?
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you for having me. And so my name's Yehuda Reamer, and the books I wrote are geared for children about gun safety. So the first book was called Safety On, and it's an introduction to the world of firearms for children. And it just touches on every aspect of gun safety, whether it's what to do if you find a gun somewhere it's not supposed to be, to range rules, to just living with guns in the home in general. It's told through the eyes of a little boy. So instead of a parent or an adult preaching to a younger child about gun safety, it's more of a peer-to-peer conversation. And I converted that to a coloring book. So after a child reads it, they can sit down and really immerse themselves into the educational process. And then my third book on firearms is called The ABCs of Guns. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's an ABC book on firearms. You know, A is for ammunition and AR-15. B is for barrels and bipod. And it just go through many different aspects of gun parts, and just an ABC book.
That's outstanding. And that's something I really do appreciate. So I'm a father of 2 kids. I've got one that is already out the door and living his life and learning to be a man for himself, which has been, a blessing to see him grow up and become an individual. And then I've got a younger one. She's been on a couple of my videos in the past, and gun safety is something that is obviously should be foremost in everyone's mind. I'm just as guilty about breaking gun laws, the 4 main gun laws or gun rules we all follow. I've broken them in the past. I've been called out for it. So to have someone who is conscious about that, who spearheads the idea that, hey, we need to continue to reinforce these things, but also provide a avenue for a parent to be a parent and teach people how to be a parent and take care of their kids around firearms is actually very cool, and I applaud you for that. So where did you come up with the idea to do something like this?
Okay, so it's actually like a whole story. So I grew up in Los Angeles as a Orthodox Jew. I mean, I still am an Orthodox Jew, and I was a photographer. So by default, I would be super left because I'm a Jew and a photographer. You know, I have the artistry in me. And growing up, I mean, I grew up in an apolitical home where politics was never discussed, firearms were never discussed, and I always thought I was Democrat because all Jews are Democrats, or so I thought. And luckily, I grew up with Ben Shapiro, and he's been a great influence, a very big help to me along the way. But I decided to start getting into politics when I was about 23. I'm 34 now, and I started studying it and learning about it, and all, you find the different amendments, and of course you find the Second Amendment, and I was kind of blown away that excuse me, it's kind of blown away that, wow, a civilian can own a firearm. I had no idea. I thought it was only for police officers, military personnel, and bad guys. The fact that, just a civilian was able to own a firearm and carry was just mind-blowing. And through my travels into the political spectrum, I realized every morning I'm listening to talk radio, I realized I'm like, wait, I'm not a Democrat. Wait, I'm not a Republican. I'm a full-on 3% Tea Party right-wing activist, and just one thing led to another. I bought my first gun. Then I bought my second and third gun. I had a buddy of mine who was in the LAPD who taught me how to shoot, really good friend of mine. And I kind of, even though I was married, out of the house with 2 kids, I didn't tell my parents that I owned a firearm because I didn't want that Jewish guilt from my parents hanging over my head. So about 6-7 months after I bought my first gun, it was a Glock 19. 6-7 months later, my younger brother, he kind of let slip one night. We were by my parents for dinner. He's like, "Oh, so when can I go out? When are you gonna take me to shoot your Glock?" And my parents, their mouths hit deep, and the ultra conservative in the family, and I started researching how I can educate my children to in gun safety. I want them to understand that guns are nothing more than tools, but you still have to treat them with respect. So I found the Eddie Eagle program, but all they do is discuss what to do if you find a gun somewhere it's not supposed to be. I found, Project Child Safe that hands out locks, gun locks, but there was no book that I can sit down with my children and just read to them. Nothing like that on the market. And there was nothing that my children can read for themselves. So I began writing a book, and that's how it came to be.
That's awesome. And again, I think it's actually commendable that you saw a gap that needed to be filled and wanted to make sure that not only that you had a tool for you and your kids, but other people could utilize that tool as well and teach their children what to do and what not to do. So
Right.
in my particular situation, I like I said, I've got an 8-year old. She understands that daddy has guns. She understands, she knows where those guns are. She knows that I keep them secure as best I can. And she also knows that she's not to pick them up. Even if she is asked to, she knows she's not supposed to touch them unless daddy is around. So that's kind of how I've always taught her. I've always reinforced every once in a while. I say, hey, what do you do if you find a gun? You're not home or you're at a friend's house and they say, hey, you want to see my dad's gun? What do you say? We kind of go over those things, but that's something that a lot of people don't take into consideration. Does your books kind of dive into those specifics, or is it a little bit more
Not
broad? Or
not really those specifics. I mean, it does touch on nearly every aspect of gun safety, but what you have to remember, the subtitle of the book is it's an introduction to the world of firearms for children. So it doesn't get super in depth about certain situations where you might come up with a gun. That's really up to the parent to discuss that with the child. My book just what you do if you find a gun somewhere it's not supposed to be. It's over a broad statement. And then if you want to sit down and talk to your child, like, oh, if you ever go to your friend's house, I know Bob's dad is a gun owner. If you ever, if Bob's son decides to show you the guns, you have to know what to do. So that's really up to the parent. My book is literally, my book literally opens the door for a dialogue, a safe and secure dialogue between parent and child about gun safety.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. And it doesn't necessarily need to have every specific, I guess, scenario that you might come into,
Right.
but at the very least, it begins a conversation between a child and a parent on what to do or what not to do. And hopefully that conversation may lead to new revelations of what your child has already been exposed to. So, yeah, good on you. I mean, like I said, I just can't tell you how much I sure do appreciate that, especially being a parent. So we'll take a break here just real quick and head on over to the chat room. Uh, I apologize if my internet is lagging. It seems like some people have said that there's some buffering issues, and if that's on my end, I do apologize for that. So we've got a few fans and a few bigwigs running around the YouTube or the live chat. We've got 1776 or bust. Sure do appreciate you swinging by. He says that he's got the Catholic guilt from his parents, so he completely sympathizes with you on that. So
I hear that.
um,
Hit me up. We can have a Facebook, a YouTube hangout of commiserating about religious guilt trips.
yeah. So yeah, BR549. Yeah, again, I don't think it's your white trash slow white Wi-Fi. I'm pretty sure it may be mine because I've got me trying to stream. I'm pretty sure the family's watching Netflix, and I think my pop's trying to watch the live stream as well. So we've got a lot of bandwidth being used up. So again, I apologize for that. Let's see here. Who else we got? Alana. Did I say it right? I hope I said it right this time. Alana's in the live chat saying, "Hey, I appreciate you swinging by." We were actually supposed to have her on tonight, but unfortunately, she had some other things pop up, and just wanted to say our thoughts are with you, girl. We sure do appreciate all your support. Black Diamond Guns and Gear, we've got you in the chat room. Thanks for swinging by. I sure do appreciate the Joshes swinging by. And let's see. What else? So right off the bat, we've got someone asking, how can they find your books? What links or
So I just posted a link, but for some reason it's telling me to remove any web addresses and try again. I don't know if it popped up on your side, but
I didn't see it. No, but what I can do is I can go ahead and post those links. Just send it an email and I'll post it
Yeah.
into the description for you
But
guys.
I told them, I said, you can just go to Amazon, type in my name, and you'll see all 4 of my books up there. So, yeah, that right now, if you're interested this second, BR549, go to Amazon. Like I said, type in my name and you'll see all 4 of my books.
Yep. Which is, again, I love the idea of tools to help parents, because we don't have all the answers. So, all right. Let's see what else we got going on here. So we got Amazon, Black Diamond, Guns and Gear, Izzy. Hey, Izzy, which is it today? Soft or hard tacos? That's the question that I'd like to know. Alrighty. So, big question that I have that's a little bit outside of the norm, and I didn't really prepare you for this question. I do try to provide our guests a list of questions to kind of give them a heads up on what's going to be asked. But one of the things that I'd like to know is, have you spent any time over in Israel? And what has that experience has been like?
Yeah, I've been to Israel countless times in my lifetime. I lived there for 2 years while in a seminary. After high school, a lot of Orthodox Jews, boys and girls, they either go to seminary. No, there's separate seminaries, only for girls, only for boys, and you basically, there's no real science classes, math or English. It's solely Judaic studies that you deal with for a year. So I lived there for 2 years, and I mean, it's a phenomenal place. I kind of feel safer sometimes when I'm in Israel over America, even though I do carry a firearm with me. Israel is safe. I mean, unfortunately, you have your moments. Like right now, in the last 36 hours, there's been close to 180 rockets fired into Israel.
Oh,
I don't know if anyone's been paying attention to that.
I haven't seen that. No,
yeah, it's been just absolutely insane. And it's dangerous, but overall though, it's an amazing place. I was just there in March, and wow, I mean, it's really a magical place.
That's cool. So with the rocket situation that you were just talking about, is that linked to the situation with the Gaza Strip, or with the demonstrations that they've had there in the last month or so?
It's Hamas just doing their thing. They're just doing their thing and shooting scuds in civilian cities in the north, not in the north. God, where is it? I don't even remember exactly location, but that's all it is. It's, thank God though, to my knowledge, I mean, which if people don't believe that there is a God, I think out of like 180 scuds, I believe only a few people were injured. No one was killed yet. And, Israel has the Iron Dome that shot down countless of the missiles. So it's pretty amazing.
So if I'm understand it correctly, the Iron Dome is the Israeli counter missile technology that they have. So basically, from I'm very ignorant when it comes to the missile aspect, but from a artillery aspect, the Army has counter batteries for artillery. Basically, they have a artillery piece that sits right next to a radar dish, and this radar dish can pick up an incoming round, track it back to where it was shot, and then that artillery piece will shoot right back where it was being shot at. So it's actually pretty cool tech. I'm pretty sure the premise behind the Iron Dome is about the same. Would you say?
It's pretty similar. I mean, when you say artillery, are you talking about like, are they really shooting down? Are they using like, what kind of artillery are they using?
So what I was familiar with in my time in Iraq and in Afghanistan was like actual howitzers. So either the Paladin self-propelled 155 millimeter cannons, or like the 105 tow behind cannons. Either way, you have the ability to quickly adjust that trajectory and fire back, because that radar dish tells you exactly what's going on.
So I believe the Iron Dome is actual missile to missile.
Hmm.
I'm gonna guess it's, I don't know the exact science behind it, but I'm gonna guess some sort of heat-seeking technology picks up the scuds. So, you're shooting it at a mile up in the sky rather than waiting for it to get a little closer, even though with satellites. So
right. So, what is your take on this whole demonstration at the with the Gaza Strip, and the what you've seen in the news, how the news is kind of positioning itself? I would say kind of anti-Israel. Would you agree, or?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, there's no question about that. How left leaning the news is, and how they make Israel out to be these warmongers. I mean, I have family and friends who were and currently in the Israeli army, and I can tell you, the minute Israel ceases to stop defending itself, they will cease to exist. I mean, it's that simple. They don't have a choice. They don't have the ability to stop defending themselves. So, that whole situation in Gaza, where I think it was 58 or something like that, Gazans were killed. Well, after Israel was berated worldwide for it, all of a sudden it comes out that nearly every single one of them were Hamas members. So not really crying over there, so Israel's going to get a bad rap no matter what it is. But thankfully, there are too many good Americans out there who see through the mainstream media's crap and bias, and they understand that Israel really is one of our true allies. So
absolutely. So, and this is going to be a tricky question, and I don't want you to answer if you're not comfortable, but
okay.
In the early days of Hamas's development, or coming of age, or whatever, it's specifically stated in its charter that its goal is to wipe Israel from the face of the earth. Now, naturally, things kind of morph and generate into something a little bit different. I mean, if you look at political parties in the United States, the Democratic Party of today is completely different than the 1960s. Do you feel that Hamas has changed, that they don't necessarily look to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, that they just want to come to a mutual understanding? Or do you feel that Hamas is actually trying to perpetuate that, just under different terms?
I mean, they just shot 180 missiles into a civilian population in the last 36 hours. Don't think that they care to have peace at all.
Yep.
I mean, if they, I'm not saying they should go after military or strategic points, but you're going after civilians. Literally, you're literally aiming your Scud missiles into a civilian population. There's no way they are trying to attain a mutual, respect or a mutual understanding so that we can live together. It's just not happening, and it never will happen, at least in my opinion. Yep. So, that's one of the reasons why PEWPEWJEW came alive. Is granted we live in America, and I'm not in Israel. And, Israel does have a absolutely fantastic army defending their land every single day. But the PEWPEWJEW came alive because never again means nothing if you're not willing to do something about it. And the fact that I have a Second Amendment right to defend myself, my family, and my country against all enemies, foreign and domestic, I mean, says a lot.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. And we have BR549 commenting in the chat room that he takes he's kind of over the news politics. He does his research, and keeps up with what he can, but it's hard to believe anything anymore with as much skew and bias as there is out there. I'm a big supporter of the state of Israel. I believe that they have claim to that, but I would feel that my position is a little bit biased because of how I was raised, my beliefs, my social structure, and so on and so forth. I'm sure that people from a different part of the country could argue far better than me on a position why Israel shouldn't be there, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I believe that. So that's a tough situation. I hate to see anybody in a situation like that, and I'm just not as I don't think I can speak as intelligently as I should on that topic, but I do believe that Israel has the right to be there. And on top of that, I've been saying for years there's two countries that I would never want to get into a war with, and one of those two countries is Israel, because they kind of kick some butt back in the late 60s, early 70s.
Oh, what the 6-Day War? I mean,
yeah.
How was it? I think they took out the Egyptian army.
Oh goodness, wasn't it Iraq, Egypt, Jordan, Syria?
I mean, they took out their air force in a matter of minutes.
Yes.
It's an amazing story.
Yeah, there's a bunch of scrappers over there. So
wait, that's a good question from Alana.
What did she say here? Let's see.
Uncomfortable question, but how do you feel about anti-gunners comparing pro-gun politicians to Hitler? I got compared to Joseph Goebbels once for being a pro-gun social media man. Well, Alana, first and foremost, the minute you start comparing, comparing pro-gun politicians to Hitler or any sort of Nazi, I mean, you're just downplaying and making light of the actual Holocaust. That goes without saying. My grandfather and two of my grandparents, well, actually, all four of my grandparents survived the Holocaust. My grandfather, who passed away 5 years ago, had numbers tattooed on his arm. When he was 14 years old, he was pulling gold teeth out of dead bodies. So how do I feel about, these anti-gunners? I mean, they're just ignorant. I mean, I don't know what your cursing policy is, but I mean, they're ignorant assholes. That's all it is. I mean, they just don't know anything, and I mean, look, the pro-gun politicians are not the ones trying to take our guns. I mean, there's a phenomenal book called Gun Control in the Third Reich, all about Hitler coming in and making a gun registration and then gun confiscation, so that by the time the war rolled around, Jews had no way to defend themselves. So yes, you want to compare these pro-gun politicians to Hitler? Go for it. You just sound like a total dumbass, and people are going to call you and not take you seriously. And I mean, Alana, you and I are friends. I know what you do for a living, and the fact that you were called Joseph Goebbels, I mean, and I studied Goebbels. I can tell you for a fact, I would take you into battle any day. any day, and I would have no problem putting a bullet in Goebbels' head. But you're not Goebbels, so I'll have your back any day, Alana.
See, and that's the thing that really bugs me about the tactic of referring to individuals as Hitler, because if me supporting a document that is the foundation of our United States, by me supporting the document, then I'm Hitler. Okay, so let's say that if that document or that position, because I'm pro-gun, is so bad that we need to get rid of it, and hypothetically speaking, we decide to get rid of it, well, then what's stopping anyone from getting rid of any of the other amendments?
Well,
right?
my favorite thing that I've seen 100 times is, you have all these left-leaning liberal whack jobs calling Trump Hitler and calling these pro-politicians Hitler, but then they're saying, oh, wait, let's get rid of everybody's guns. So, like...
I know where you're going with this.
I mean, it's so ludicrous that you're saying, the leader of the country is being compared to someone who literally started a war that killed countless millions of people, and I'm not just talking about, you know, the Holocaust, I'm talking about World War II in general, but then you're saying, oh wait, only the government should have guns, it shouldn't be the civilian population. I mean, you know, I hate to say liberalism is a mental disorder, but it is. I mean, there's no way around it. Yep. It doesn't make any sense.
The quickest way to win a anti-gun argument is there's 3 questions, and if you ask these 3 questions, then you can watch someone's mind just melt right through their ears. Number 1 is, do you support 100% gun ban? And if they say yes, you say, okay, great. Question number 2, who is going to control the guns? Who do you believe should control the guns? And they say, well, the government should. The government should control all of this. Government should take
regulations. Yeah.
Yep. They should take all the guns away. Okay, great. Do you trust the government? And watch them just be like, oh crap. Yeah, I don't. No, I really don't. Oh, so you don't trust the government, but you want the government to have all the guns. And then you can go through that rabbit hole a little bit. And then the next question is, do you feel that the military and police should be the only people that have the guns? And if they say yes, then it's like, okay, do you think that we have a police brutality problem?
Yes, exactly. Look, you know, no one ever claimed that, you know, the left had real common sense, but it just, I don't know. You know, I'm coming from the position of, I'm an Orthodox Jew. I lost countless relatives in the Holocaust, and I live in a country that allows me to own a firearm for that specific reason of what happens if your government becomes a dictatorship. And just the fact that I lost relatives, like I said, never again means nothing if you're not willing to do something about it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yes.
And so it just, I kind of just shrug it off. People are like, I have all these friends who are like, oh, we can't believe that they're comparing it to, you know, all these pro-gun politicians to Nazism and Hitler. And I'm like, who cares? I mean, it doesn't make any sense anyways. You want to do something about it? Stop whining about it. Get a firearm, learn how to use it, train with it, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, for sure. So swinging back over to the chat room real quick, I wanted to say hey to a couple people. We've got a few more that has jumped on in, and that is Bald and Curious. Sir, glad you're back from Europa. I hope that you had a good time. And one of the things I saw that you pointed out is, yes, London has a trash problem, and it's because of all those silly vacationers, much like yourself. So make sure that you pick up your trash while you're overseas and visiting some of those gorgeous places over there. 1776 or bust says Hamas leadership needs to be sent to meet their virgins until their people can realize how much their leadership is in it for themselves, and they'll never be peaceful. So and that's actually kind of back to some of the comments that you made before, where there was the 48 or so people that were killed at Hamas, the demonstration, and most of them ended up being from Hamas. A lot of people don't know that a number of the demonstrators were actually paid by Hamas to be there, which is why you see mothers with 8-month-old babies at the protest. Who would take a baby to a protest? Are you serious?
Well, an armed protest too. I mean,
exactly. Very good.
You're going to a protest where you're going to have a confrontation with a standing army. And you're like, oh, you know what? Let's bring an 8-month-old or even a younger baby because we want sympathy. So
yes,
I just want to give a big shout out to Jackie Billings, who's here.
Yes,
I don't know if you saw that. If you guys don't know Jackie, go follow her on Instagram and Facebook and all of her writings. She does great work, and I'm proud to know her.
Yes, huge fan of the Micro Warrior. That is Jackie Billings. She's a fantastic writer, something far more than what I could ever do. And she is holding it down for the pro 2A community, and as a woman who is a big advocate of the 2A community, I applaud each and everything that she does. So thank you so much. Gigi, LFG, Gigi is in the chat room naturally. Thanks for swinging by. And yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Now, I wanted to kind of step back because there's a couple questions that I've missed so much. I've missed so far, and I wanted to make sure that I looped back around. So we're going to be kind of chaotic. I'm just going to be answering some questions, one of which came from Alana. And if I can swing back up, I got to go really far back. But she was basically asking, and I think we may have somewhat already covered this, but one of the questions that she asked was if either of us has ever had any issues with our kids not being allowed to come over because we're pro-gun and they're anti-gun. Have you ever ran into something like that? I know you're from the West Coast, so.
Well, when I was in Los Angeles, I wasn't really a advocate yet, so I wasn't really shouting from the top of my lungs that I'm a gun owner. I was still in that reserve state of mind where I didn't, it was kind of looked down upon in my community. So I was kind of quiet. But since moving to Texas and really becoming vocal in firearm ownership and 2A advocacy, I mean, there are people in my community who I know don't want to have anything to do with firearms, and they know I have guns in the house, but they've sent their kids over. I really haven't experienced anything like that yet, at least not that I know of. We haven't had someone say like, my kid wants to play and the parents are like, well, no, because you have guns in the house. We haven't experienced that yet. It's actually been quite the opposite. A lot of times people are like, oh, that's awesome that, my kid's going to be safe. We know if they go to your house, it's going to be safe. So.
See, and that's something that, we think about living in a bubble, and we also kind of project in our minds that, well, the people who are anti-gun, well, they live in a bubble because, they don't want anything to do with it. But from my perspective, I kind of live in a bubble myself because I don't know anyone that doesn't own a gun, regardless if that's a shotgun, a hunting rifle, a pistol. I just don't know anyone that doesn't own a gun. And for me, I've never been confronted with that, so from my perspective, you can correct me if you got a different opinion about this, but if I had a situation where I dealt with that, I would just talk to the parents and say, hey, look, if you have concerns, just so you know, if you'd ever grant your child the ability to come over to my house, those guns would be locked up. They would never see them. You would never have to worry about it. And to be frankly honest with you, they would probably not even know I had anything. So that's how I would handle it. I'd love to hear anyone from the chat room or yourself. How would you handle that situation?
You're saying if someone came up to me and said, we don't want to send our children to your house because you have guns.
Sure.
I mean, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm one of these people that in my old age of 34, I kind of stopped caring what people think about me, or stopped caring about, how I live my life. I don't have a problem if they don't want to send their child over. I'm not going to try winning them over. That's their decision. I'm a responsible gun owner. All my firearms are locked up nearly all the time. When there is a play date, all my kids know dad and mom's room is off limits. They're not allowed to come into my bedroom anyways. And, that's all my guns are locked up in my closet. So I don't really, like I said, I'm coming from the mindset, I just don't care. You don't want to send your kids. You want to,
yeah.
You want to insult me because you're saying, well, you want to act all high and mighty. You're a gun owner. We don't trust you to have our kids in the house. I'm like, all right, so don't send your kids. It's not the only person you're going to hurt is, your kid and my kid, and we'll find them another play date for someone who doesn't care. So it's just that's what it comes down to. Is I just don't care. I don't care enough.
Yeah, and that's, I think Bald and Curious kind of said it best there. That'd be one less screaming kid in his house. So,
Oh, I
so
hear that.
one of the other questions, and I don't know if you know this. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the IDF and how they train or whatever, or say gun laws in Israel. But do you have the ability to open carry in Israel, or is that reserved for the military, or how does that work?
Okay, so I do know. Okay, IDF training, I'm not familiar with. I like I said, I have relatives who were in the IDF. I have friends who are, but in a relatively smaller city outside of Jerusalem, and I mean you can see 30 Arab villages surrounding his little city. So when you're out there, it's a little easier to get one, but when you're living in the big cities, it's not so simple. I believe you have to be a resident of 3 years to get one. I believe you can only have 50 rounds of ammo in your house at a time. Every gun you get, and again, I don't want anyone to quote me on this because this is from what I remember. I could be completely wrong. I do know that very recently they said that laws are going to change. I don't know if there's actual open or concealed. I don't know how that works. So, but yeah, I do know Israel is pretty restrictive on their gun rights.
Right on, and that's very, very odd for me because here recently I spent some time in Europe. I was in Spain, France, Italy, and Mallorca, but that's a kind of that's an island of Spain, and I felt kind of naked. I didn't necessarily feel unsafe because I feel confident in who I am and how I can protect myself over and above just having a firearm with me. But at the same time, when you walk into a subway and you see 3 uniformed Italian military members with the ARX, what is it? The ARX. Oh,
the X95.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Tavor.
No, not the Tavor. It's the Beretta.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're thinking.
Yeah,
I have Israel still on my mind.
Yeah, the ARX. I think it's the ARX 190 or something like that. It's there. It's the Beretta version of the AR-15. Anyway, that kind of sends a little red flag up that maybe I need to pay a little bit more attention if they're going to have armed service members in subways, something that you're not used to seeing in the United States.
Right.
So that again, that's very odd, and it would seem to me that Israel would want to have more of their society armed because of the climate that they live in.
Well, that's what it is. I think was it either a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, one of the members of Israeli parliament said that they will be making gun laws a little more lax in terms of who can get, because I think the statistic was 80 or 90% of all terrorist attacks that have occurred in Israel in the last however many years were actually stopped by armed civilians and not by the IDF. I mean, you see Israeli soldiers all over Israel. I mean, everywhere you go, you can't go more than 10 feet without seeing an Israeli soldier. But a vast majority of the terrorist attacks were stopped by civilians. So I think they've realized that we should have a couple more armed civilians, and they've I don't know the process of how they're going to do it, but that's what I read.
Yeah, so that's good to hear. I would hope that that the Israelis would be able to adopt a more looser perspective on gun ownership. I think that's one of the major reasons why Japan never tried to invade the continental United States during World War II, because one of the quotes was, "Behind every blade of grass, you'll find an American with a gun." So,
well, I saw a great meme. I forgot who it was. It was like, please let Russia, if Russia or North Korea were going to attack America, let them go through Texas first. the war will be over by Thursday.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Something
Yeah.
along those lines. So, like, yep. I got my AR, my Glocks, I got everything, ready to go. So let's put it this way, I'm very excited for the upcoming zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, very much so. So we actually had some discussion here about the Brits.
Brits, yes.
Yeah. What's your perspective? I mean, obviously we're going to be kind of, again, in a bubble here because we're all like-minded individuals, but walk us through your train of thought when it comes to the Brits and them trying to restrict knife ownership.
I mean, come on. Stupid is as stupid does. I mean, like, they're coming after us, but like, by all means, you guys want to restrict every aspect of weaponry. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. There's a reason why we kicked your ass 250 years ago. I mean, it's that simple. If you have that mentality that you're treating your citizens as idiots, then you're never, what did I just read today? I read England once controlled 1/3 of the world, and now they own a little plot of land that's the size of Rhode Island or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Like, why are they restricting it? I mean, look, there's so many. I've seen so many different.
Yeah, I would agree. So, I mean, when you look at, I can't think of the provocateur, the guy that's on YouTube that just got arrested for.
Oh, Tommy.
Yeah.
Tommy Robinson.
Robinson, yeah.
Tommy Robinson, something like that.
Yeah. So for an individual that was filming the defendants of a gang rape trial,
yep.
To be arrested, prosecuted, or arrested, arraigned, prosecuted, and thrown in jail within a matter of about 5 hours.
Yeah.
Was unprecedented. And on top of that, the media couldn't cover the story for 48 hours.
Yep.
So those small things where they're squashing freedom of speech and, I mean, being able to push someone through trial in 5 hours and throw them in jail. I mean, those types of things coupled with, and I want to be sensitive, but at the same time, with an influx of a certain demographic of immigrants into the country, England's they're going to be in a situation, a very sticky situation here pretty soon. So
yes, they will. I agree. I mean, I think in the next 10 years, England will be put on the no travel list from America.
Yeah. I know that Cancun, I think, just got added to the travel ban for United States citizens leaving and traveling abroad because of the cartel situation that's going on down there. I heard of a story in which a newlywed couple was down there and the wife was shot and killed by a stray bullet.
Well, yeah, that was just last week.
Yeah. So
yeah,
just horrible. Izzy from the chat room says that he's just waiting for Gordon Ramsay to lead a march on behalf of chefs that are not allowed to be able to use their knives. And I think Gordon Ramsay has more pressing concerns about shellfish being raw than his knives. But but yeah, I mean, it's just some of the things that are going on around the world right now is just mind-boggling when it comes to places that we can and can't go, the rules and regulations in England. Yeah. So I just, what are your thoughts? I mean, you think we're going to be able to make it out of this year alive?
I mean, this year?
Yeah.
That gives us, what, another 4.5 months until the end of the year? Yeah, I'm not worried. Yeah, I'm not worried. I think, I think America's in a good place right now. We're recovering from 8 years of horrible economic rulings, and we're getting stronger every day as a country in terms of with Trump helming the ship. So I think we're going to make it through, and I think the next 6 years, especially if we can get Trump in for another 4 years, I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So we've got a special guest coming in just to say hey to everybody. So we're talking about gun safety today, and here is baby girl. So say hi to everybody.
Hi.
So she's just coming in to grab a hug, and then she's off. And thank you, baby. Appreciate it. So
that's a good question.
What's that? What was which one?
Alana. Another question about kids' gun safety. Any issues with teachers or your kids talking about guns in school? So, good question. So far, no. My kids' teachers, as well as a lot of the staff at my kids' school, know that I'm an author and deal with firearms. So that's great. Also, when it's winter, my son comes to school wearing a "Don't Tread on Me" snow hat, my 9-year-old boy, and either the teachers at his school are very ignorant or they in a private Jewish school, so it's a little bit of a different beast than, public schools. And yeah, so.
Yeah. So I know that my son's high school, you cannot wear any type of Pro 2A or any type of item that shows a firearm on it, even though his high school is, within 10 miles of a military installation. They are very, very cognizant of, making sure that kids are not promoting firearms, which is tough. But at the same time, my daughter, she does, much like your kids, go to a private school. Hers is a Christian school, and no one cares. No one bats an eye at it. There's no symbols on the door that says you can't bring a firearm in the state of Kansas. That's kind of a moot point anyway. But like I said, I've told a number of people that I conceal carry most everywhere I go. So if you see me, I more than likely will have something to protect myself with, and go from there. So hold on one second. Okay. So we got one kiss in. I've got to get another kiss in. So I've got another. Yeah, come on. I'm not sure where we're at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. You're working fine for me.
All right. Are you looking on the YouTube page or just?
I'm not looking on the YouTube page. No. I opened up. Oh yeah. Now it's buffering. Yeah. There's you and some ninja.
Yeah. Oh goodness. All right. So we're just going to continue on as if it's not buffering, and hopefully when it downloads onto YouTube, everything will be fine. So we'll see what happens from here. But we're pretty much at an hour. Actually, we're about 4 minutes over. We've covered a lot of different things going on. So I just wanted to pass it off to you if you had any questions of me or anything that you wanted to pitch to the chat room.
No, not really. I mean, this was a lot of fun, and I know who was it that said that they should have me back on? GGL FGGG.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know if you're a girl or a guy, but you rock, by the way. For that, GG.
You and all the links to the different sites that you can, basically Amazon, that you can find the books that he's written, which again, if you guys are interested in finding a way to help communicate with your kids, I think this is an outstanding tool for you to utilize. Like I said, not every parent has the answers to a lot of these questions, and maybe this would be a guide for you to help facilitate a conversation with your kids about firearms, firearm safety, what to do, what not to do, and the ABCs of guns. I think that's a great idea. So again, all of that would be down in the description below. So we're going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. Again, thank you to everybody that participated in the live chat tonight. We got a lot of familiar faces in the live chat. I appreciate each and every single one of you. My BR549s, Jackie Billings, Alana. Let's see who else we had. Bryce Newston. I really appreciate you swinging by. You're new to the chat room, at least that I can remember, but I do appreciate it. 1776 or Bus, Bald and Curious, Andrew Lovelace, Izzy Long, Mr. Hard Taco himself, and let's see who else. Did I get everybody? GGLFG, of course, naturally, he's been a staple in most of all of my live chats. So if I missed anybody, I sure do apologize. Again, thank you to everybody who is supporting the channel in many different ways, because we've got people who have provided products for me to utilize on the YouTube channel. We've got Patreon members. We've got people who have bought through my affiliate links and all that stuff. So just so you know, GGLFG, that's good old Paps. That's my dad. So
there you go. Thanks, Pops. Paps.
So I call him the Paps, but he's good old dad. So again, thanks everybody. Again, you can find I can't.
Yehuda. Yehuda.
There we go. My speech.
It's all good. It's all good. It's a Yehuda. It's a hard Jewish name. Don't worry about it.
There it is. Yehuda. You can find him on Instagram at the PEWPEWJEW. And again, I'll have that all down in the links below. Stay tuned for more information on my 1-year anniversary on YouTube giveaway. I really am excited to announce that here pretty soon, and we're gonna have Yehuda back on here real soon. The plan was to have Yehuda and Alana on tonight together, because it was just going to go right off the rails real quick between the three of us, I think. But again, she had some other things that was going on, so we wanted to make sure that she had time to take care of that. And then we'll just go ahead and schedule this maybe here in the next couple of weeks or a month or so. We'll get all three of us on and really have a wicked time after that. So yeah, again, thank you so much for swinging by. I appreciate everything you're doing with your books, your obviously your pro-Israel stance, all your political things that you're working on as well, everything that you're doing. And yeah, and then you live in Texas, so that's not too bad for some.
Oh yeah. To me, I always say there's the United State of Texas and nothing good outside of it. So.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see, was it Davy Crockett that said, all of you can go to hell, I'm going to go to Texas? I think that's what
Davy Crockett, you can go. You can't go to any Texas themed shop without having that that mug on a mug or a T-shirt or something like that.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and say goodnight. Thanks again to everybody. We'll be on next week. I'm not sure who we'll have on next week, but we'll have at least me. So more to come. I appreciate it.